Sylvie stirred from her slumber at the mention of exploring a dungeon, but Arthur remained silent, staring at the hilts of his two swords. Today's battle with Caspian had confirmed Arthur's over-focus on this world's magic system, assimilating Sylvia's beast will, honing elemental techniques, neglecting his foundational physical combat. Arthur thought. In his past life, simple techniques with his meager ki pool and sword led him to the top. Dicathin offered more possibilities, but true excellence required blending past experiences with current gifts. Absorbed in his thoughts, Arthur felt a bump on his shoulder. He looked up as the blond noble, Lucas, strutted past with his entourage. Seeing he had Arthur's attention, Lucas stopped. "You're not bad for an augmenter, but that's all you are. Don't get cocky just because we happen to be ranked in the same class. Even within ranks there are levels, and you would be at the bottom. Know your place, commoner." Lucas spat, then smirked, tilting his head back to look down his nose at Arthur, which looked silly given Lucas's shorter stature. Not bothering to argue, Arthur turned back to Jasmine. "Let's go to the portal." Xyrus, a floating city, was accessible only via its many teleportation gates. Arthur's senses were jolted by the sudden change as they crossed through a gate, stepping from stone onto a worn path, teleported directly to the beast glades. Birdsong, occasional beast cries, and flowing water created an enticing natural symphony. The beautiful landscape of tall trees, hills, plants, and shrubs belied the danger of magical beasts capable of killing even strong mages. The outskirts, rich in resources, were primarily inhabited by lower-ranking beasts. Deeper travel led to more mysterious, treacherous landscapes, with layers of powerful beasts that had amassed treasure and power. Arthur breathed in the crisp air as Jasmine arrived behind him. Suddenly, Sylvie hopped off Arthur's head and scurried away. "Wait, Sylv, where are you going?" Arthur called, dumbfounded. Sylvie transmitted a vague, excited response about her plans to train. Arthur felt uneasy. His bond had never left his side until now. Realizing he could still sense her whereabouts, he calmed. "She'll be okay. Mana beasts have a natural instinct to grow stronger," Jasmine explained beside him. She must have felt very suffocated being in a sheltered environment all her life. She put her hand on Arthur's shoulder, signaling them to move. "There's a place I want to visit first, before we go to a dungeon. We have to hurry, though. It gets a little more dangerous at night." Willing mana into her body, Jasmine bolted off, her wind attribute mana propelling her. Arthur followed, forming wind gales below his feet. He kept tabs on Sylvie, their mental link strong despite the distance. He sensed her catching small prey, her ecstatic mood contagious. The journey lasted hours. Arthur kept up with Jasmine, dark yellow stage to his light red, only by using mana rotation, a skill now almost second nature, used unconsciously when exerting mana. By late evening, they traversed a dense forest to a small clearing, a grassy field surrounded by trees, a clear stream flowing through. "We'll camp out here for a few days," Jasmine announced, setting down her bag, taking out canvas and a pot. "This is the place you wanted to visit?" Arthur set down his bag, surveying their surroundings. She shook her head, gathering wood. Arthur brought back branches, and soon a fire crackled. Making himself comfortable, Arthur removed his mask, sitting silently by Jasmine near the fire. After several minutes, Arthur asked, "What made you want to become an adventurer?" Her gaze stayed on the fire. The silence stretched. Arthur assumed she wouldn't answer. "I wanted to get away from my family." Her voice was so quiet amidst the snapping fire, he almost missed it. "I see. Were you on bad terms with your family?" Arthur responded, eyes on the fire. Several long moments passed before she spoke. "The Flamesworth house was a major contributor to the war against the elves. Our house has produced many powerful mages, both conjurers and augmenters. Our lineage in the fire attribute element was second to none. We took great pride in this because fire is considered the most powerful of the elements," she said monotonously. This was the most Arthur had ever heard Jasmine say. "But Jasmine, aren't you?" Arthur looked up. She nodded. "From an early age, when I had first awakened and started training, my family began checking my mana for fire affinity. I went through various tests so they could see how my mana was exerted and how it flowed through my mana channels." She paused, poked the fire. "When it became clear that I had no aptitude for the fire attribute, my family regarded me as lesser." Arthur didn't know how to respond. For the first time, the usually aloof Jasmine seemed vulnerable. "I'm sorry to hear that," was the only response Arthur could manage. Shaking her head, she gave a faint smile. "The Twin Horns have treated me well, and I don't dislike what I am." Arthur glanced at Jasmine's palm as she formed a small swirl of wind, emotions on her face as she peered at her hand. Arthur reflected. This world was rife with discrimination. Hierarchical roots were deep. Normal humans were second-rate. Among mages, augmenters faced discrimination from conjurers. Even elements had a hierarchy, barring deviants or dual specialists. Jasmine, born to powerful fire mages, was discarded for her wind attribute, something many would kill for. A dark yellow augmenter, skilled at 24, a genius by many standards, yet she felt inferior by her families. That didn't sit right with Arthur. They added wood to the fire for the night and laid out sleeping bags nearby. Lying down, Arthur pried into his mind, feeling Sylvie's presence. She was distant but safe. Sylvie sent a thought. Sylvie to Arthur, "Don't worry. Stay safe too." Arthur closed his eyes. Then he heard Jasmine mumble, "It's weird. When I talk to you, it doesn't feel like I'm talking to a child." Arthur didn't respond, pretending to be asleep, hoping she wouldn't push. Jasmine was cooking over the fire when Arthur woke and crawled from his sleeping bag. His stomach rumbled. He hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. He looked hungrily at skewered fish grilling. "Good morning. You should have woken me up, Jasmine. There's no need for you to do all the chores on your own." "I tried waking you up. You wouldn't budge." She looked at him, heavy-lidded, with mixed apathy and concern. "If I hadn't heard you breathing, I would have mistaken you for a corpse." Arthur chuckled awkwardly. "I'm sorry. It's a bad habit of mine." After devouring grilled fish, they put out the fire. Arthur washed in the stream, then put on his mask and swords. He assumed they'd hunt mana beasts, but Jasmine stopped him. "Your opponent for these next few days will be me." "Huh?" Arthur was surprised. "They came here to spar? We're close to the dungeon we will be exploring, but I want you to focus on fighting me first. Your fighting style seems awkward at times, like you know it in your head, but your body doesn't listen to you." She unsheathed her 2 daggers, pointed one at him. "We won't use any kind of mana while we spar." Arthur hadn't expected Jasmine to notice his concern, but it was a good opportunity. "Good idea," Arthur replied, unsheathing his short sword. "Use your other sword." Jasmine's eyes flickered to Dawn's ballad. "How did you know this was a sword?" Arthur hadn't planned to hide it but was caught off guard. "Knowing you, it had to be something more than just a cane or a practice stick." She shrugged, stepping closer. Arthur nodded, tossed the short sword toward the campfire, and drew Dawn's ballad. The sword glided soundlessly, its translucent blade reflecting sunlight, glowing light teal. Arthur settled himself in the blade. "Ready when you are." Yeah, Jasmine stuttered, eyes on Dawn's ballad. They used mana to dull their weapons. Without mana strengthening his body, Arthur realized his neglect. After a few swings, his arms felt heavy, legs trembling. Arthur thought, this was his mistake. He knew his juvenile body's limits, but had masked shortcomings with mana, instead of working on them. Magic should supplement abilities, not replace or conceal deficiencies. Arthur lunged with a sharp thrust at Jasmine's sternum. Though coated, the swords weren't to be handled lightly. They could bruise or break bone, making sparring intense. Jasmine swung both daggers in an outward arc, parrying Arthur's lunge, knocking his sword's blade into the ground, forcing him to bring his rear foot forward. By then, Jasmine had repositioned for a quick downward slash. Prying his sword free, Arthur pivoted to avoid the slash. As her daggers grazed his shirt, he kicked her arm away, stepping back. They traded attacks and defenses, but soon Arthur's arms burned. He was forced into a defensive stance, stepping back. "My win," Jasmine said, deftly sheathing her daggers. "You're right," Arthur laughed, dropping Dawn's ballad. He'd had the upper hand, but lacked strength to proceed. Arthur thought. It was his loss. They'd sparred under 5 minutes, but his arms and legs screamed. Massaging his forearms, Arthur picked up his blade, sheathing it. "Hey, Jasmine, I think I'm going to need more than a couple of days to work this out," Arthur confessed, chuckling. Her lips curled slightly. She nodded. Arthur mused. He had 3 years before Xyrus Academy where he could study mana. For now, his priorities were clear. Making a rough mental calculation, Arthur held up 2 fingers. 2 years, Jasmine. I'll dedicate 2 years to getting my body truly adjusted to sword fighting without relying on mana. "That's it?" she said, surprised. "Just watch?" Arthur smirked.